I've been using the Motorola Razr Plus 2024 for a few weeks now, and here is my final review on this phone. I got 8 categories for you. Each one I'm going to rank them from 1 through 5, 5 being the highest. At the end of the video, I'm going to give you one final grade and let you know on whether or not I would recommend this phone. So first category I have is cool factor and design. I give this phone a 3 out of 5. At the end of the day, it is a flipping phone, so it is cool from that perspective, and it pretty much ends there. The novelty factor is cool. You can fold up the phone when you're not using it, tuck it away. It is more compact in that sense, but when you open up and use it, it's actually a pretty large phone. It's close to 7 inches, so it is not compact when opened up or easy to use by any means. And I don't like the crease in the middle of the phone. It's still there regardless on how minimal it is, and this is a problem with all flipping and folding phones. At this point, the technology is not there to be able to get rid of the crease, so when you first look at it, you're definitely going to notice it. You're going to see it throughout the day. I mean, it doesn't really change my experience or how I use the phone. It's just not very pleasant to look at. And most of the time, you almost forget about it or don't even notice it, but occasionally, every now and then, you do get reminded of it. And one of the biggest benefits of having a flipping phone that fold is you can use the main camera to take selfies, and that's pretty much it. I mean, that is a pretty good benefit. If you enjoy taking a lot of selfies, you get to use the best camera to take your selfies, and you can preview yourself. You can do that on any regular phone, but you wouldn't be able to see the preview. You can just simply turn your phone around and take a picture. But here you can actually align yourself, position it to get the best selfie possible using the best camera. In all the regular smartphone, you can use the selfie camera, but that is generally the worst camera on your smartphone. Another benefit of having a flipping phone is you can use these things as tripod. Sounds good in theory, but during my whole time I having this phone and even using the Galaxy Z Flip 6 recently, there's never a situation where I want to dock it and start recording myself doing TikTok dances or anything like that. I have a tripod at home, so whenever I record videos like these, I just use my tripod. It's easier, it's a better angle versus just docking it on the table. It's lower and the angle just doesn't work right. But if you're ever in a pinch, you don't have a tripod laying around, there's definitely some benefit for that. And for design wise, there's a lot of flaws in there as well. So after using this phone for a few weeks, I brought it to the beach, just swimming, casually using it here and there, and a little bit of sand got in the phone. So notice when opening and closing the phone, I did hear some crunching in between, which wasn't a good sign. And then a day later, I noticed the black spot of death. Day after that, it got even bigger. And it just kind of shows you that these phones, there's a lot of durability concerns. Even when my wife had the Galaxy Z Flip 5 last year, there was a big dark bar in the middle. And then at some point, the phone just never turned back on. So the inside screen is completely dead. You can only use the outside screen. So there's a lot of limitation with these flipping phones. Even though they say each year has gotten more durable, the hinge is better, but the hinge is usually the parts that break first. And then once that middle part break first, the rest of the phone will slowly break. I saw these issues firsthand with 2 different flipping phones. So I would express some cautions there if you do plan to buy flipping phones. I still think there's a lot of durability concerns. Next category I have is battery. I give this phone a 4 out of 5. It is surprising a really good battery life phone. And at the same time, it is an almost 7-inch phone, so it's pretty large when you open it up. I get roughly 20 hours of battery life on this phone, and I never really have to think about charging it throughout the day. If I wake up in the morning, it'll last me all the way to the time I go to bed, and I just charge it before I go to bed. It is not quite 36 hours like the OnePlus 12R. That phone, I don't even need to think about charging it at night. It'll last me more than a day, 36 hours to be exact. But with this phone, it'll last me from morning to night, and I don't mind charging my phone before I go to bed. And there are some nights when I use this phone while on vacation, I don't even charge the phone at night. Throughout the day, if I'm driving around using Android Auto sporadically here and there, driving from location to location, 20-30 minutes one way or the other, the battery will maintain itself until the time I go to bed. I even brought a battery pack with me, but I never even have to pack it or use it. I just left it at the hotel. And even on the airplane, I did not even bother charging it at all. This is the first phone that I never really thought about charging on the airplane. I always have it plugged in just to be at 100%. And this phone, this time around, I have a baby that I didn't want wires hanging around, him touching it, kicking it. So I didn't bother charging my phone, but I managed to get to Hawaii in 11 hours. Even then, spent a few hours getting my car rental, which is a mess. And once I finally got it, I had Android Auto running, and the battery is enough to make it to the hotel and last me throughout the rest of the day. So never at any point during my whole time using this phone that it gave me any battery anxiety, which is a great sign. When I use my Galaxy S24, I do have to top it up every now and then. It does give me a little bit of anxiety. It'll maybe last me 15, 17 hours. Not as good as the OnePlus, not as good as the Razr Plus 2024. But this phone overall, solid 4 out of 5. Alright, just want to take a quick moment, give a shout out to my partner Mint Mobile. Currently they offer a 5G plan for as low as $15 a month. You do have to buy 3 months up front, but overall it's still a great deal, so make sure to check them out. Link in the description below. Next category I have is customizations and features. I give this a 4 out of 5. There's really no standout feature last year to this year, to be honest. It feels exactly the same. You can use the outer display using any single app. Of course, not all the apps are optimized, and this is the issue with all folding phones. So if you want to play Pokemon Go on the front screen for whatever reason, you can make it work, but you may not be able to touch some of the area of the screen and just get funky. So just be aware of that. Not all the widgets work on the cover screen either. They have limited widgets on the cover screen. They have other widgets on your regular home screen once you open it up. Just having a folding phone, I think it's annoying to open it up every time I want to use it. Of course, I can keep it closed, but I want to have the bigger screen. The small screen is nice for setting quick text, but if you want to take advantage of the whole phone, you have to open up and use it. And that part is still annoying to open it up, whether you flick it open or you dig in your finger and slowly pry it out. My personal favorite technique is kind of use my stomach if I open it with one hand and just give it some support and flick out the phone the other way. It takes some effort. Yeah, so there's you have it. Just in terms of features, a flipping phone, you can do the selfie, you can use it as a tripod there, but that's pretty much it. Nothing really too exciting there. Camera of this phone, I give it a 3 out of 5. It is missing the ultra wide camera. They had it last year in the 2023 version. For whatever reason, they swapped it out for the telephoto camera. I personally would have preferred the ultra wide camera, or even better, just add 3 cameras. I don't see why flipping phones can only have 2 cameras, but the regular flagship phone or even budget phones, they have 3 cameras on those in many other instances, like the cheaper Galaxy A series. So I don't like how there's a lot of compromises with these flipping phones. But the telephoto is cool if you enjoy taking a selfie, but I don't think there's a big distinction between the telephoto and just the main camera. You get some blurry background effect. Apparently it might look more professional and cool, but at the same time, it's still like the 1x crop, and you switch it over, you get another same crop. Doesn't look that different. But I'm pretty impressed with the night photos on this phone. If there's some lighting around from street lights or anything like that, you can manage to get some amazing photos, which I wasn't expecting to get from a Motorola phone. Next category is updates. I give this a 3 out of 5, mainly because you only get about 3 years of software updates, and it is below standards compared to the Galaxy Z Flip 6, which is offering 7 years. But I don't think either of these phones will last beyond 3 years. So even Samsung themselves, they offer screen replacement, so which shows you that they want you to buy these phones with that peace of mind, but at the same time it's not durable, because I have seen 2 broken flipping phones. So it's not gonna last 7 years, maybe it'll last 3 years, so it might be a moot point. But if you want to keep these phones for a while, updates could be better. And Motorola is not known for the updates, although one of their recent phone, maybe the Neo or whatever the most budget version is coming out, they are offering 5 years of software updates there. So maybe that may be the beginning of the trend of them having better software upgrades, but currently we're still sticking at the 3-year mark. Next category is ease of use. I give this phone a 3 out of 5. Like I mentioned earlier, you just have to open it every single time. Is fine. If you have 2 hands, you can just do that, but you have 1 hand, you have to figure out how to open it, flick it. And it's annoying to have to do it every single time. If you see something cool, you want to take a quick picture, you have to open it up and take a picture. You can't just like launch the camera, or else you're just going to take a selfie. So little things like that just makes it more complicated to use compared to just a regular candy bar shaped phone. Performance, I give this a 5 out of 5, even though the chip it uses is slightly below what Samsung has to offer. But overall, it's fast, it's smooth. Is it faster than last year? Yes, on paper. Is it really noticeable? Not really in terms of smoothness, but yes, in terms of battery life, do notice a pretty big improvement. Not like last year's battery life was bad, but at least this year I get about 20 hours of battery life consistently without ever having to worry about charging it. I would say last year I might pocket about 17-18 hours, which isn't bad, but the extra couple hours does help. And once again, I never really have to think about charging this phone until the time I go to bed. And battery life in general is much better than the Galaxy S24 base model, which makes sense. It is a little bit bigger. It should pack a bigger battery. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the performance on this phone. The last category I have is value. I give this phone a 4 out of 5. It's hard to say any phone at $1,000 or above is good value, but this one is less than the Galaxy Z Flip 6, which starts at $1,100. So if you want a brand new flipping phone with one of the latest flagship chips, this is probably the better route if you want to save a little bit of money. But overall, compared to a regular slab phone, I would rather get the Galaxy S24. It is a smaller form factor, it's easier to use with one hand, it's more reliable, it is $200 cheaper. You get the wide angle camera and an extra camera with the smaller Galaxy S24. You get 7 years of software updates. And just bringing these phones to the beach, you don't even have to think about it or worry about it on any regular slab phone. But with the Flip series, you have to be extra careful when you're using the phone around dirt or sand. So overall, all these flipping phones are nice just for the novelty factor. It is a throwback from back in the days when everybody had those flipping phones, where Motorola used to be the biggest trend in the early days, 90s or so. And then I guess BlackBerry became really popular at one point before iPhone took over, and a whole bunch of other Android phones along the way. I think there's too many compromises for flipping phones in general, so I'm not the biggest fan. I like the idea of it, but when using it, it's just too much of a hassle. And the final grade I have is a 30 out of 40, so 73%. Just a solid C for this phone as a final grade. There you have it. Let me know if you agree with my assessment. I was more pumped about the Razr Plus 2023 last year, but using the 2024 version, they made some questionable choices by removing the ultra wide angle camera, placing it with the telephoto instead. I prefer having the ultra wide because it distinguishes the viewing angles more compared to just the regular camera and then the telephoto camera. I feel like with telephoto, you can always go back and edit your picture to give it the blurry background effect using some external app, but the wide angle camera, you can't just automatically capture more. Once you capture the picture, that's the picture. I guess you can always crop it, but you can't add more stuff. Well, I guess these days with AI, you can add more things, but it's not the same. On a day-to-day basis, it feels exactly the same as the Razr Plus 23. Don't upgrade if you already have that. The only thing you're really adding is the telephoto, and you're losing the ultra wide angle camera. Don't go to the beach with the Razr Plus or even the Galaxy flipping series. I have seen these screens break a couple times over the last year alone, so be extra careful if you do have a flipping phone. Yeah, so a lot of troubling sign there just in terms of their durability. I personally wouldn't recommend it unless you're not a beach person, then you wouldn't need to worry about it, but just normal usage, I have seen these phones break as well. So there's a lot of compromises with flipping and folding phones. The crease is ugly, you lose one less camera in these flip series compared to a standard slab phone. It is less durable, you don't get the dust resistant, and with the Razr Plus, the chip is actually a tad behind the Samsung flagship. That's why it's $100 less. Day to day, you're not gonna notice that much of a difference, and it feels about the same. Alright guys, let me know how you feel about folding phones in general. What has been your experience so far? If you already have one or if you're thinking about getting one, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you guys in the next video.